Podcasting is not dying. It is growing, but it is growing visually. So if you are not showing up on video, if you are not showing up on camera, you might be showing up less than ever. Podcast Growth Nation, today for episode number 163, don't get left behind, get on video. I'm going to preface this whole thing with the saying that I understand that video is harder than audio. I understand that a podcast by definition is audio, but I want to talk about video today and why it is important and maybe how to start if you haven't started yet and what are the benefits of doing so and the unfortunate detriments of not doing so. Okay, I'm just going to get right into it. We're just going to get right into the goods. Okay, number one, simple. YouTube has way better analytics, way better stats, and it gives you a way deeper understanding of how things are actually performing. So when you log into Apple Podcasts for creators or Spotify for creators, the data just isn't that good yet. It's just not that good. Now, yeah, you can kind of see retention rate, and you can see it on both, and you can see certain things. You can see listens, you can see subs, you can see all that stuff. But on YouTube, it just gives you a way better look at what is actually happening. So this is what I would suggest. If you, and again, you might not get the best data, but if you're not ready to do video, just do an audiogram and put the episode up on YouTube anyway. That way, at least you have that data that you can track. That's a thought. Is it ideal? Nah, probably not. But I do think that it is probably worth testing to see. The data is just really good. And we know what matters on YouTube. We know what matters on YouTube where, yes, we know what matters in the podcast space, but it's really hard to understand through our own measurements how we're doing. So for YouTube, it is the title, it is the thumbnail, it is the click-through rate, and it is the first minute. Those are the things that matter. Right now, retention rate, obviously, but the first minute matters a ton because that dictates whether or not people are going to be hooked. So we can cross that over to assume that for your audio podcast, the first minute is very important. We know the title is important, and we know we want retention rate. Yes, those are all very important. But it's really hard to know what actually moves the needle on those things. We know how to make a good thumbnail, high quality picture. There's things, right? There's things out there. High quality picture, 3 to 5 words, evoke emotion, cool. Bright colors, make it stand out, awesome. That's fine. We can do a nice hook, something at the beginning of the episode, awesome. But outside of that, it's just less flexible with an audio platform than I think it is with a video platform. Now, it is also easier on the audio front than the video front, but that is point number one. YouTube just has way better analytics than any other platform currently, and if you want to gather data, I think that's probably the best place to do it, although I realize it might be a giant pain in the ass to do it. That's number one. Number two, and this is kind of off the beaten path, I believe being on camera is going to increase your confidence as a podcaster way more than almost anything else. There is something about looking into a camera and speaking. There is something about knowing you're on camera. There is something about that. In the short run, it will suck if you are insecure about it. And when you do work through that insecurity, you will be very grateful you did. I can guarantee that. So that's more of a personal development win, a confidence boost, maybe as opposed to the benefits of doing video or why video is so important. But here is the thing. And this is the big thing. Okay. According to Spotify and Cumulus Media, they did a study. Around 2/3 of podcast listeners prefer shows with video. So that is 66%. So 66 out of 100 people would rather have a podcast that has video. That trend line is moving. And it is continuing to move in that direction. I believe now the vast majority of shows are found on YouTube, whether it's short-form content or long-form content. And even if you're not doing video for YouTube and Spotify, you can always record the video and then just make clips of that and put that out into the social media world, into YouTube Shorts. You can do that for sure. But the market, the listeners, the demand like video. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that everything is kind of sort of going to start optimizing for video. So Spotify has video. You can upload there. YouTube is making a really big push to become a podcast platform for people that want to have podcasts. You can have a playlist that's a podcast. So that's a suggestion, right? You can upload video on Apple. And I know you've been able to do this for a while, but that is just a suggestion that that is where we're moving. I'm not saying you have to. I am just saying that if you don't, you might end up getting left behind. I mean, I know a lot of podcasts that are doing all of this and they're still struggling. So it's not the end all be all. It's not necessarily going to fix all your problems. But if there ever was a time to get on video, I would say now is the time. There's enough AI out there that can help you make clips. There's enough AI that can probably break up a full episode. You can always just record it on your phone and then just throw it up there. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do in order to get it done. My fear is that if you do not evolve with the times, unfortunately, you get left behind. And I know podcasting is audio, right? Podcast is, the iPod broadcast podcast. That's audio. But we are moving into video for everything. So I think it's probably worth trying. I think it's worth figuring out what it would look like for you. How would you work it into your workflow? Can you learn how to do some video editing? Is it hard? Honestly, it's probably not as hard as you think. Especially for what you need. You don't need crazy intros and cutscenes and B-roll and all that stuff. You just need to know how to say, okay, I made a mistake at the beginning, I made a mistake halfway through, and I made a mistake at the end. How do I cut that stuff out? Cool. Export that, throw that up on YouTube. If you can learn audio editing, you can learn video editing. It's just a matter of it feels like a pain and it feels overwhelming and it feels like a really big lift. And maybe it is in the beginning, but there's a ton. You can use iMovie. I use Adobe Premiere. You can use Camtasia. There's a bunch of places. There's a million of them. And there's probably some I haven't even heard of yet because they're so new with AI. So YouTube is way better stats. That's one. Two, it's going to increase your confidence as a podcaster. I'm certain of it. It just is because you're going to get outside of your comfort zone and do something maybe you're afraid of. And then the third most important piece of this is roughly 2/3 of consumers, 2/3 of podcast listeners prefer shows with video. That is the direction it's going. That is what is going to continue to happen. We're so used to looking at our phones. We're so used to visual cues. We're so used to being able to see everything whenever we want. That's like a relatively new thing. I think about this all the time. I'm going to be 36 the day this episode releases. I'll be 36. I remember when I had my first cell phone. I sound like an old ass man right now. I remember when I had my first cell phone. It was a flip phone. You could play Snake on it. You had a couple games. The camera was atrocious, and you had to pay for ringtones. It was like, that was it. You could text people, but every text cost X amount of cents. You couldn't watch YouTube on your phone. You couldn't do anything on your phone. Now you can literally watch Netflix on your phone, in your car, in a parking lot, while you wait for your parents to shop. That is weird. I mean, it is a weird time. So the accessibility with video is way increased, and you can watch video from anywhere now as long as you have internet and a device. And if you're buying a cell phone now, I'm going to bet that you can watch video on it. That is what the consumer wants. So if we want to grow, we have to keep up with the times, fortunately and or unfortunately. Now, sometimes you got to be careful with this stuff because it might be a fad, right? There was an app called Clubhouse for a while. I haven't heard about that in years. I'm assuming that has died. Things are fads. This is not one of them. This is not going to be one of them. The other thing about this too is as AI continues to plop up, a lot of people are going to be doing AI podcasts. And it's way easier to do an audio AI podcast than it is a video AI podcast. You can still do it. I mean, it's not the hardest thing to do an AI video, but it's blatantly obvious that it's AI. And YouTube's cutting down on AI too, so that's a whole nother thing. But this could be the thing that differentiates you in the future. Who knows? This could be it. You don't have to have a professional setup. You don't have to have a super nice camera. You don't have to have any of that necessarily. It's just one of those things to get started in. And the reason I want to do this episode, it's going to be a quick one probably. This won't be a crazy long episode, but I just don't want you to get left behind.
What's going on, guys? My name is Austin, and I've been working with Kevin for a few months now. If there's one thing that I find super valuable is his expertise on how to position the podcast to the right audience and fit the content into the overall business plan. And frankly, when we work together, he challenges me a lot. There were some tough conversations that he initiated with me so that I can really grow in the business. Besides the coaching part, the editing team does amazing work with editing and show notes and staying on top of all communications. Overall, my experience working with Kevin has really been top-notch.
And the signs are there. The signs are pointing towards we're going video. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that say, look, if you don't want to do video, don't do it. I am in that boat as well. And understand the potential downsides of it. That's all. That's all. I don't want to stop eating pizza. I'm going to have pizza for dinner tonight. Love it. And I also understand that's probably not the most optimal for my health, but I'm willing to deal with whatever the downsides are. This is very similar, except it's not going to kill you, most likely. But it could kill your podcast in the long run. The other thing is, if YouTube is going to be the place that the majority of podcasts are found, I think it's up over 50% now. That means that the likelihood of you being found on other platforms is just going to be less and less and less. So there's two ways to think about it. Somebody finds an audio podcast and then they say, wow, I wonder if they have video, and they go check it out. That happens. Or somebody is already on a video platform. They find your podcast and they realize you have audio too. Not everybody has YouTube Plus or YouTube Premium, whatever it is, and there's no ads. Not everybody, I don't know what people's data plans are nowadays, but not everybody has unlimited data maybe, so maybe they're not watching YouTube on the road, hypothetically, because it's a bigger file, it requires more data. So they might be at home watching YouTube on their TV like I do. They might come across a podcast that they like. They might find it on Apple or Spotify and then subscribe to it because they're not always going to be home watching television. That is a really big piece of it. That's a really big piece of it. Just like somebody might find it on their phone and say, oh, interesting, they have a YouTube channel. I'm going to watch this while I eat dinner tonight. There's silos that connect. That's the best way to put it. And I just feel like you're in more control. You can test out. It's way easier to split test stuff on YouTube than it is with podcast stuff because there just isn't as clear of data. As somebody who has been tracking our podcast data for the last 8 years, honestly, it hasn't gotten much better. Very honestly, it has not gotten much better for whatever freaking reason. YouTube has gotten really good. I had a call today with a client, and we were talking about their YouTube, and I said I could literally pull up 4 videos and then compare all 4 videos and show them that the first 30 seconds of these 2 videos were way better than the first 30 seconds of these 2 videos because you had way more emotion. So the consumption rate of the first 30 seconds was 20% higher. It's like 40% to 60%. I could see that in real time, and I know exactly why that is. It's just not super realistic to do that in the podcast space yet. Spotify's making a run for it. Apple Podcast shows you your retention rate, but it doesn't show you your drop-off rate. I don't know when people are leaving. You can find that out on YouTube. So it's a really, really, really good sign. And it's a really, really, really good piece of data to have. So that is my suggestion. I'm not saying you have to do it like I do it in a studio. I'm not saying that. Especially because I didn't start in the studio, right? I have a studio at my house. Awesome. I started in my living room, and it was terrible. And then my business partner, Alan, and I had our first quote-unquote studio at his mother's house in his sister's old bedroom. And then we moved down to the basement. And then eventually, when we were 300 episodes in, or whatever it was, we got a studio. We got a custom studio. And we built out our own studio, and it was awesome. But that never would have happened if we didn't start long before we were ready to have the studio. So Maybe this is the gentle kick in the butt you need. Maybe this is the thing that will get you to do it. Or maybe this is the thing that makes you realize, look, I don't ever want to do video. I'm not interested. It's more of a pain in the butt than it's worth. I don't think that's for me. I am not going to make you wrong for that. No judgment from me. Just understand the potential downsides of that. I'm very big on awareness. I want to make sure we have awareness of our decisions or lack thereof decisions. All right, is there anything else we want to add? No, I don't think so. Oh, here's the other thing. And again, it can carry over a bit. If you are an audio-only podcast, then you can still record video, and I think that's worth it. I can tell you right now, the content that I share as a guest on podcasts is only video content. I am not interested in sharing a square picture of your logo with my face on it. It's not going to do anything. It just isn't. It's not strong enough content to get shared. I'll throw it on my story. The things that I'm willing to post to my actual feed are always reels. Always reels. And they're reels that are done nicely. They're reels that are done well. Some time went into them. So that is the downside, is as availability to these things goes down, the expectations of that increases. Right? So what's a good example of that? If you go to a coffee shop and they don't have Wi-Fi, that's probably not going to be your coffee shop of choice to work, right? Because there's so many coffee shops that literally have on their website free Wi-Fi because they know people will come in, they'll have a coffee, they'll have a muffin, they'll have a breakfast sandwich, whatever, and they'll work for a few hours. There was something getting done. We were getting our electric fixed and our Wi-Fi was going to be out. It was a whole thing. And I had to go to a coffee shop. And I spent a half hour figuring out what the best coffee shop was based on the Wi-Fi and based on who actually advertised Wi-Fi and spaces to work and who didn't. A lot of people like to work from coffee shops. If your coffee shop does not allow people to work from it, that is probably going to be a little bit of an L, because that's kind of the expectation now, right? That's one. I don't know if you're a pizza shop and you don't have delivery, that is an expectation at this point. People just expect that you're going to deliver, especially after COVID. Now everybody delivers. So that's a whole nother thing. So you can see that if you're not in that expectation, if you're not in the bucket of this aligns with my expectation, you might get passed on for something else. I had a bachelor party recently and we were getting pizza, and we were getting like 7 pizzas or 8 pizzas, a lot of pizzas. First place didn't deliver. Second place did deliver. I will give you a guess for which place we went with. It was the second one. It took the same amount of time. One delivered, one didn't. We want delivery. That is what we're looking for. So again, I don't want to just repeatedly beat on that fact, but at the end of the day, the market dictates what's going to work and what's not for the majority of us. So all that to be said, even if you're going to do audio, I suggest recording it and breaking it into clips for your guests because they're more likely to share it. And if you're going to go that far, you might as well just throw the video up. That's where I think things get a little wonky. If you're not recording any video at all, I understand it's a big jump to start that. Start with Zoom. It's cheap. That's the place to go. Quality's not the best, but it's okay, right? We're just getting started. If you're already recording video, all you got to do is throw it up on YouTube. That's it. You don't have to do anything special. Simple thumbnail, whatever. Just get the ball rolling. It's not about optimizing it and maximizing it now. It's about being on the right train. I'm not saying you're in the front of the right train. I'm not saying you're leading the train, but you're on the right train. And if you're on the right train, you have a higher likelihood of succeeding. So that is it. That is what I'm going to end with. I will stop talking about video and YouTube. Oh no, one more thing. Totally kidding. Okay. If you are looking for a group of amazing people who are into podcasting, who want to grow their podcast, they want to learn how to be better interviewers, they just want to make podcasting a bigger piece of their life, we have a Facebook group. It is called Podcast Growth Nation. We'll have the link below as always. And if you are feeling stuck in this, if you have questions about video editing that YouTube and or the Google machine haven't answered yet and you need help, I will have my link below for a free 30-minute podcast breakthrough session. I am happy to walk you through what video editing looks like. I'll pull up Adobe Premiere, whatever is going to be helpful for you. So I'm happy to do that. I hope for you that you're not expecting much bigger, much better, much more grand results without doing any more of the work and or growth required. This is growth. That's all it is. It's just an opportunity for growth. Some of you might never do it. Maybe for some of you, you're not interested. Some of you are interested. Some of you are going to do it now. That is the subset, right? That is the way it works. So figure out where you are, and then whatever the next step is for you, I think it's time to take it. Even if that means not doing video fully on YouTube. All right. As always, super grateful for each and every one of you. Keep on podcasting. Keep on crushing it. And I will talk to you all next week.